Are you wanting to create a highly prosperous photography business doing what you love? Or maybe you have a great business already and want to up your game? Then you're in the right place. Master craftsman photographer Lucy Dumas and her guests are here to support you on your journey. Now here's your hostess and tour guide, Lucy.
It's never too late for a new beginning in your life. That's a quote by Joyce Meyer. And I want to welcome you again to my show. And you may not know that I have some gifts on my website, LucyDumasCoaching.com. Lucy's always with an I. And they're both about marketing. One's a book, one is a 7 tips. So just go there, click on those, and the rest is history. All right. My guest today is Brennan Haelig. Got to try to pronounce it German. And he is the founder and CEO of Jumpstart ROI. It's a result-driven paid ad agency specializing in Meta or / Facebook, Google, LinkedIn advertising, and such. He has scaled to an 18-team membership, manages $4 million in monthly ad spending, wow, and has generated over $100 million and pesos and pounds and whatever else for his clients. And he particularly loves to focus on photographers. So he's going to share a little about his journey, but his expertise is digital marketing and automation. And he loves helping entrepreneurs and provide real-world insights and actionable tactics to owners, marketeers, and industry-specific entrepreneurs. That's hard to say. Welcome, Brennan. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me, Lucy.
Yeah. So you're in Colorado, in Denver?
I am, yep. Based in Denver. I was born and raised in Minnesota, moved out here just about 2 years ago. So as of recent Denver native as of the last couple of years. But
why did you move?
Yeah, our whole team spread all across North America. But I'm based out here, and then everyone else is all around. I think we've got pretty much every time zone covered now. So yeah.
Why did you move?
Well, for me, born and raised in Minnesota. I went to college at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, Wisconsin. Stayed there for a couple years after school. Knew I didn't want to stay in my hometown or move back to my hometown, but didn't know where I wanted to go. I did the digital nomad thing for a few years. So the last 3 or 4 years before I moved, I was staying about half the time in Minnesota where I grew up. And then the other half the time I was just traveling. I was kind of test driving new cities. So I actually went to 10 different countries and probably 15 or so different cities. And I would get an Airbnb for a month. This is when I was, starting to work remotely post COVID. And I would just get an Airbnb for a month and spend a lot of time by myself, just exploring different cities. And it was a great time. It was super fun. But I wanted to find a place to stay longer term. And I had still have a few good friends here based in Denver. And so I was visiting them a couple times a year anyways. And so I eventually decided to give it a test run out here in Denver, stayed for 3 months, and then that's now turned into 2 years.
You love it.
Yeah, I love it here.
Good. Okay. So I wanted to get the shortened version of how you had a great job and then what happened and then how you started this agency.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with creatives for about 10 years now. So my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 19. It was the start of my sophomore year at university. And I started a business with some friends managing musicians and throwing local concerts. So that was my first business, and my first love was the music business. As part of that, I actually ended up working with a variety of different photographers to come shoot the concerts. We'd do music videos. We would do photo shoots for the artists that I was working with. This is a pretty small operation, but that was kind of my first attempt at entrepreneurship. And I did that for about 3 years. When I graduated university, I kept it running for a couple of years. And the way that led into what I do now is that I actually started running paid ads when I was working with local musicians and promoting local shows. So I would run ads for the concerts that we were putting on. I would run ads for the new releases or the music videos that our artists would put out. So that was when I first started getting into dabbling with Facebook ads and Google ads. And I was also working really closely with a few different photographers that we would create content with, like on a regular basis. And essentially what happened was that business kind of ended up falling apart. I had a recording studio that I was living out of at the time. So I actually gave up my lease on my apartment studio, which is a 10 by 10 foot room, basically a little box. And for 8 months, I slept in that studio, and my business kind of fell apart, wasn't making any money. I had, basically was, at my lowest point. And I knew I didn't want to go get some, corporate job. And I had these skills, I had these marketing skills that I had developed. And I thought to myself, all right, how can I turn this into something? How can I build another business out of this? And what I ended up doing was actually partnered with one of my best friends, who's still one of my best friends to this day. His name's Scott, and he was a photographer and videographer. So what we did is we partnered together. We would go to all the local restaurants and bars in our town. We would pitch them on a package where he would shoot photos, he would shoot videos for them, and I would run their digital marketing. So all their advertising, email marketing, and all of that. And that's actually how I got my first few clients in this niche. So I've been working alongside a photographer from literally the first client that I ever had. And now fast forward about 7 years later, I've grown this to the point where I've got a team of 18 people. And we have about 100 clients in a variety of different countries and all kinds of different cities.
Love it.
Of those are photographers. And so that's been one of the niches that we've really focused on over the years. I've always had a few photography clients, and it's been one of my favorite niches to work with, just because anything creative like that is still close to my heart, just because of what I used to do in the past. And so, that's the abbreviated version of kind of how I've got to where I'm at today.
Yeah. Thank you. So Facebook ads, when you said Meta, I so haven't accepted the fact that Facebook is supposed to be called Meta. That took me a while. So
Yeah.
Facebook/Meta ads. Can you share, like, what's the thinking when you're putting out Facebook ads? I'm going to ask you a question about other places, but let's start with Facebook ads. Kind of explain really what they are and such.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to Facebook ads or Meta ads, and I think of Facebook and Instagram really as one ad platform nowadays, because it really is just all combined through Meta.
Okay.
The most important thing to understand is that Facebook ads are all about your offer and your creative, meaning that when you're advertising to people on Facebook or Instagram, they're consuming content on the platform, and then they see your ad, and whatever is in your ad has to grab their attention and hook them so much that they take action. Usually that act, filling out a form saying, hey, I'm interested in this. So for photographers specifically, usually we're making them a specific offer around a particular promotion that you're doing. So a lot of our clients, they do promotions around family portraits, so mothers and children. They do dog portraits, boudoir portraits, might be wedding photography. So whatever niche that you might be in, we're creating an offer. So we're creating some kind of promotional deal where, maybe they get a free print, or the most common thing would be like if they get a free session, something like that, change for their contact information. So they're raising their hand saying, hey, I'm interested in signing up for this. And so the most important thing now with Meta is the actual creative, meaning that the targeting component is very much automated, meaning Meta is pretty darn good at understanding what your ad is and who to show it to. So what you as an advertiser need to focus on is just making better content. One of the best things about working with photographers is they by nature have a ton of content for us to work with. And so that's one of the reasons I love working with them. And so, the most important thing is to hone in on the messaging in your ads.
Okay. So I'm assuming that you're saying just a general ad like, I'm amazing, come book me, isn't going to get traction, especially if there's not, go here, do this thing. Is that kind of thought
Exactly.
number one? Okay, so thought number two, you said that Facebook's good at knowing where to target. How does it know I only want local families? How does it know I want photographers in a certain income level?
Yep. So when we're talking about location, that is a setting that you're going to want to put into your ad. So when you're creating a campaign on Facebook, you're generally, if we're talking about a local photography studio, you're going to be targeting a certain radius around your area. It varies depending on the city, but a lot of our clients are targeting anywhere between 10 and 30 miles around their studio location.
Okay.
So you do want to put in that local targeting. Other than that, though, when we're talking about things like income, when we're talking about things like gender or age, Meta is who is going to engage with your ad, because there's trillions of data points on Meta, and there's many, many other advertisers you should be mentioning that you're targeting, mothers in the, San Antonio area or the Denver area, for example. Meta is actually reading that text. It's looking at your image, and it can actually understand what the ad is. And so that's actually how it knows to target mothers. You don't need to necessarily tell it.
Okay. So the days of clicking every little thing and putting all the keywords in an ad, we don't do that anymore because Meta.
Okay. Yep. That's done. Yep. Not necessary. People still do. A lot of people are still in that older mindset. But what I want to tell people is that you actually don't need to worry about that as much anymore. Just worry about making more content and better content. That's the number one thing that you can do to be more successful with your ads.
Okay. So next question for me, more content and better content. I'm typing that. Okay. I used to do boosts. Like, one of the reasons this podcast has been listened to in over 100 countries is I would boost and I would just let it be international. And I think since it went Instagram, I've had challenges figuring out how to do a proper boost. So there's ads and there's boosts, and those are different. When would you do a boost and when would you do an ad?
I very rarely boost anything. I usually don't recommend, essentially the boost post feature is for people who aren't wanting to be intentional enough to use the full ads platform that Meta offers. So the whole boost post feature is essentially just giving people an option to very easily spend money to get their content in front of people. Okay. And it works fine. Like, when you're boosting a post, what you're doing is you're telling Meta more likes, comments, and shares on this post, which, if that's what you want, is totally fine. But the key difference is that a lot of people, when they boost a post, they actually want leads. They want customers. They want inquiries filling out their contact form. So it's important to understand the objective that you're telling Meta to give you. And if you want leads, I recommend using the full, it's called Meta Ads Manager. It's the back end of Meta. We could talk all about that for an hour. I won't spend our time talking about that, but it's very confusing to a lot of people. If anyone needs help with that, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you.
Okay. So boost is sort of like putting your toe in the ocean, but if you really want to get on the surfboard and ride, you got to do an ad. Would you say that's a good summary?
Yeah. Okay. If you want to take this through results and track your ROI, don't boost posts.
Okay. All right. So because my understanding is, okay, so let me go back to offers. So what kinds of offers get action consistently with, let's say, portrait photographers? It's kind of the later time of holiday photography things, and there may be some opportunities to scramble and get a few more great sessions in time for that, maybe. If you're listening to this in February, oops, you missed it. But so what kinds of things would be really productive, get clients, get it moving right away?
Yeah, so by far the most successful offer structure that we found for photographers specifically is the complimentary session, and then either a free print or some kind of credit towards the artwork. So the session being complimentary is pretty critical here, because of course what you're really selling is the back end. You're selling them the high end, portrait artwork. That's where the value is. That's what they want. Mm-hmm. You can still charge a deposit the session. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to, I don't offer too much for free. Well, you don't have to offer everything for free. And if you're good at selling, this is by far the best offer. We have clients getting $3,000, $4,000 sales averages on these sessions. And keep in mind, they're doing the sessions completely for free. And then when they have the reveal session at the end, that's when they are able to close them. So it's all about being good at sales. But if you're doing this the right way and you're getting people bought in emotionally to this process, that is by far the best offer that you can have. So we tested dozens of different offers. We test new offers every single month for our clients, but that general structure is still the best. Awesome. Every photographer does it a bit different. They offer different amounts of credits, different types of things for free with that session. That can vary. It depends on you and what works for your studio. But that's still the best structure of offered around.
I'm glad to hear that, because as I've coached people, we've done some Facebook ads where you're looking for 5 toddlers to try out some new backgrounds and, apply here, and they've gotten great results. So just a little note, Brennan, if any of your clients need to know then how to move that into many thousands of dollars of sales, that's what I'm the queen of. Most of my clients order 3 to 7 large portraits, like what you see in the background if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah. And I've helped many, many coaching clients go from either shoot and burn or a few 8x10s to big sales of portraits and such. So just was giving a little
amazing
plug when you're got a client that's like,
please do.
Great, because if you get the client, but you don't know how to, first of all, kind of pre-qualify them and take them through the system and get them all excited so that when they sit down in front of the projector, they're like overwhelmed and they just give you all their money. If you don't know how to do that, am I right that it could be a very expensive and time-wasting activity to do an ad?
100%. And so what we do is we solve the lead flow problem. Any photographer out there, I can get you leads tomorrow, essentially. We have a very structured process for this. I can do this for any photographer in these industries and get you consistent lead flow right away. But if you can't close them, I can't fix that. And so that's why what you do, Lucy, is so valuable, because that's a great complement for what we do. And a lot of times we do try to connect photographers with somebody to help that, because that's usually what they struggle with. All of our clients, they don't struggle with lead flow because we solve that for them, but they might struggle with the show rate of their bookings, or simply the booking rate. So getting on the phone with them and getting them to book, getting them to show, and then of course selling them once they do show. Now, all of those problems, somebody's already fixed those. Like you said, you've already fixed that for yourself. You fixed it for other photographers. There's a solution to all of this stuff. And so there's probably somebody listening that's currently running ads and they're struggling to book leads. They're struggling to get leads to show. They're struggling to close leads. Just know that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody's already fixed this problem. Go find that person. Mm-hmm. It might be Lucy. Ask her to fix it for you. There's a solution to this. So don't think like, oh, the ads don't work, all the leads are bad. Right. That's not true. Yes. Like there's something wrong with the sales process, and go fix that is what they should do.
Yeah, it's similar to when you do gift certificates at charity events and different things like that. So many people be like, oh, it didn't work. I tried it. I just was throwing my time and money away. And after the 2009, 8-9 financial crisis hit, and all of the ways that I was getting work ended, like I used to be able to run a Yellow Page ad and get great clients, but that's over. I just started, this was pre-Facebook, right? 2009, we weren't really hot and heavy.
Yeah, right around
Facebook ads and things.
Yeah.
And so I started finding every appropriate charity event, gala in town and doing gift certificates, because I knew how once we contacted each other, I knew how to either kind of like I would do the shoot if they weren't pre-qualified, but I would avoid wasting a lot of time. And I made a great living for several years with that primarily. But it's so much more work than running a Facebook ad. So that's what I would, if I were like, I need a bunch of work, I would definitely be giving you a call privately and saying, help me with these ads, because not having to do all that it takes to do a charity event, or another really good one has been an enter to win, where you do a booth. Like if you're a pet photographer, you do a booth at a pet show, and you get a bunch of leads by having drawings and things. But sitting in our chairs, letting it just come to us, I love that idea. Are there other places you mentioned in the notes you gave me that Google and LinkedIn are possibilities too? And I've never thought of that. Can you share a little about what those would be like?
Sure. To be honest, we don't run any Google or LinkedIn ads for our photographer clients at the moment. We've tested both in the past. I've never seen it be particularly successful. It depends on your niche. A lot of people want to make headshots work. That's one example that we've tested. And they think, well, of course, it's B2B, like LinkedIn can make sense. Maybe go on Google. But to be honest, I've just never seen it work anywhere close to these meta ad offers that we're running. So I don't think for photographers, it's all that relevant. Like if you want to scale to a 7-figure or even multi 7-figure studio, we have a couple clients that are, making a few $1,000,000 a year in revenue. You can do that just with meta ads. You really don't need another channel. Obviously you have to be good at selling. You have to, probably do some organic, just networking and do some of that, shaking hands and kissing babies as well. But in terms of paid ads, I wouldn't really do LinkedIn ads if I'm a photographer, and then maybe Google ads for things like weddings, headshots, things like that. But frankly, I've never seen it outperform Meta because of the way that these offers are really emotionally driven. And that's what you're selling to people, is that end artwork. And so that serves itself best for Facebook, Instagram.
So does it, if the ideal client is not on Facebook, let's say a high school senior photographer, rumor has it Facebook is for parents, not kids. Is Instagram the same kind of program? You run ads in Instagram. How does that compare? Or is that what you would do if you were trying to reach a younger demographic?
Yeah. So when it comes to running ads on Meta, so when you launch an ad on Meta, by default, Meta will actually show it across either Facebook or Instagram based on wherever you're most likely to get results. And so that's what we do for all of our clients. We do not differentiate between the two. We just let Meta decide, put our ad wherever you can get us the most leads for the cheapest cost. I don't care if it's on Facebook or Instagram. What I'll say is Facebook tends to outperform Instagram. And it actually, for something like seniors, sometimes it's the parents that are engaging with it. So, and the other thing to keep in mind, and this is something that I continue to be surprised by, is Facebook. And what's funny is I don't even use Facebook personally. I only use it to run ads for clients. I don't consume any content on Facebook. I don't even have Instagram on my phone. But everybody's on there. I've run so many campaigns for people targeting younger people that do great on Facebook. So don't underestimate it. It is pretty ubiquitous at this point. Like everyone between Facebook and Instagram, pretty much everyone's on there. So don't think that Facebook is old people, Instagram's young people.
Okay.
Everybody's on there. Same with TikTok. Older people are on TikTok. And we don't really do TikTok too much for this photography stuff because it's mainly video. And of course, photography, you have mostly still images. But yeah, don't sleep on any of these platforms. They're pretty ubiquitous at this point. Everybody's on most of these. Between Facebook and Instagram, you have essentially the entire population and every demographic of person in the US is on one or two of these platforms.
Great.
So you can reach anybody you need to reach on those.
And my thought is, just like, I'm trying to think of when I say this a lot, like, we don't need everybody in the world to see the ad. If I have 50 to 100 great hits on these and average $3,000 to $10,000 a client, that is a nice living. That's plenty of work for me as my photography business is set up. One of my coaching clients expanded to where she had 2 studios and a couple photographers in each studio, and she would have 60 shoots a month or more. And I know she did it mostly with Facebook ads, but she was she was reaching out to from the high end to the little middle, like people were investing thousands, not tens and 20,000s consistently. Anyway, if that made sense. But I had another quick thought. So my podcast coach loves Threads, and Threads is connected, right, to Facebook.
Yeah.
Can you do
Yep.
ads on Threads, or do they marry? What's it? Because I think that's one of the up and coming platforms that some people are moving to or adding. What's the difference? Can you advertise on Threads? Give me the 411.
I believe there's some ad placement on Threads. We don't really do anything specifically with Threads, so I can't speak too much to it because honestly, it's not something that we like pay very much attention to. Again, the majority of the campaigns that we're running, we let Meta show them on any placement, meaning that some of them probably show on Threads, some of them might show on Facebook Marketplace. It depends. So yeah, I can't really speak to that too much. I will say it's not a intentional part of our strategy, anything to do with Threads. So
got it. So budget wise, so if I wanted to do a campaign for, let's say, it's a perfect time in the fall, like San Diego, we do get some fall. We get it later than you do in Colorado. I was lucky one time to get to photograph a family in Vail on that weekend that everybody, the weekend before, they would say, oh, it's going to be better next week. The weekend after, they say, oh, we should have been last week. Well, I got to photograph a family in Vail on the perfect Colorado, aspens turning. Anyhow, so what kind of budget, what would you set up to do that? Not what the ad should look like, but what's the back end? What would I spend? How long should I run it? What are some of those details?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as budget, the short answer is most of the photographers we work with, if they've never run ads before and they're just starting out, they usually start by spending $50 per day or about $1,500 per month. That can vary. We have clients spending up to $20,000 per month, and there's clients that might only spend $1,000 per month. So that varies. But what I can tell you is typically what that looks like is it's going to cost you between $5 and $10 on average to get a lead, meaning someone raising their hand, giving you, I'm interested in a session with you. A good booking rate would be 10%, but really anywhere from 6 to 10% of those leads to book sessions, meaning you're probably looking at paying somewhere around $50 to $150 for a booked session on your calendar. That is going to then turn into, if you have a good show rate, maybe 70% of those sessions actually show up that very first time. So let's call it, maybe you're looking at somewhere between like $100 to $300 to get somebody into the door, into your studio. And of course, if you can sell that person on a few $1,000s, you got a pretty darn good ROI on that. But not everyone's going to buy, and that average might vary.
Sure.
So it really depends on how many leads you want, how many you can handle. We have some clients where typically their problem is they're a one-man operation or one-woman operation, and they can't handle 20 leads a day because they can't call all of them. And so the best way to figure out budget is to work backwards, to be conservative.
So let's say I want 5 awesome shoots from this. Then what would it cost me? How much would I want a budget for?
Conservatively, $1,500 to $2,000.
Is there any, like, if I said, I've got $300 to spend, how would you approach that, expecting, of course, not to get as many great leads? Is there a point to that? Can you do that?
There is, but at that point, you're going to be on your own. Like, you're not really going to have budget to hire somebody like us to help you with this, but go to YouTube. Like all this is stuff that you can totally do. So if I'm a photographer, I have $300 to spend. I'm going to set up an ad. I'm probably going to start at like $20 per day, which is going to give me, a couple weeks or so of time. Now I'm going to change that budget as I go, but the first couple days, I'm going to spend like $20 per day, and I'm going to see, can I get leads for that $5 to $10 cost? If I can, and I want more leads, I'm going to increase my budget until I spend through that $300. But you absolutely can spend just $300. That's probably going to last you, at the most, maybe a week or two. And then once you have enough leads, you just turn the ad off and, from there.
So are you and I'm sure this is standard for people helping with Facebook ads. So is it not like where do you get paid? Because if I have 300 to spend on the ads, my thought was I'd be paying you something in addition. So why do you care about my budget? Or is it that you get income as a percentage of what I spend on the ads?
Yeah, so we charge a flat monthly fee, and that's separate from your ad spend. So right now, our fees start at $1,500 per month. You might spend X amount of dollars in ad spend, but when I give you those numbers saying, all right, it costs you $5 per lead, and it costs you to book an appointment, whatever it might be, you have to then add on to that our fee. Now, the more you spend in ad spend, our fee is the same. So, our clients that are spending $10,000 a month on ads, our fee is pretty nominal compared to that. Our clients that are spending $2,000 a month on ads, well, they have to factor in our fee to their customer acquisition cost.
Sure.
Now, for this niche, it makes a lot of sense because if you can sell those few $1,000 sales averages, you're still getting a fantastic return on investment. So that can make a lot of sense.
Yeah. For me, one client can pay for the month and then the rest is gravy. And I know the number one request when I put it out anywhere, like, what would you love to learn? It's always marketing, marketing, marketing. And people spend all this time and energy trying to do 1,000 things that don't. Or like, let's say when I did or one of my clients did a show and did an enter to win, she had to pay the booth space. She had to pay people to help man it. She had to either knock herself out to set it up the day before, or pay someone to help her. She had props. There was a lot that went into that $1,500 or $3,000 could easily go into doing a 2-day show, and you have to sit there for 2 days and talk to people, which is nice, but after a while it gets tiring. So to me, it sounds like a bargain. And I imagine your pricing is pretty fair, pretty common with what's out there. So we're not saying only go to Brennan, but I appreciate you being straight with, what the expectation would be to hire someone like you. Am I on track with that?
Yep, absolutely. We're probably middle of the road or even on the low end, and honestly, of the pricing for what this costs. And so it's pretty affordable. If you are really committed to actually getting an ROI, it makes a lot of sense if you're going to save time from it. And that's really the biggest thing. That's why I tell people, if you have the time to run the ads yourself, do it. You don't need to hire an agency. Not everyone needs to hire an agency, and that's totally fine. If you have the time, do it. But most of our clients come to us and they say, hey, number one, I don't really know how to do this. Number two, I don't want to do this. My source of genius is photography, right? It's not paid ad.
Right.
I love paid ads. I could never do photography. So if that's you and you're like, hey, this isn't my source of genius, I don't want to do it, and I don't have time to do it, you're probably a great fit for us. But if you want to figure it out yourself and do it, that's great too. So it just depends.
Right. And just the anxiety reduction of getting clients. Even you mentioned that you were on PhotoBiz X, and Andrew and Bernie are big Facebook ad proponents. And, it's just such a boon. I'm really excited to hear even more clearly from you about the nitty gritty of how you do it, and the whys, and who doesn't want to just have a system that doesn't take a lot of work and get awesome clients. So I love that.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have any other questions. I think that is awesome. So I have 2 questions for you. Number one, I know you're going to have a gift that people can go to jumpstartroi.com/photography. So what would they discover there if they go there?
Yeah. So if you are already running ads, or if you're even thinking about running ads, if you go to jumpstartroi.com/photography, I'll have a simple opt-in for you there. You can reach out to us. And what I'll do is I'm going to send you over the top 5 ads that we're currently running for our clients. So you're going to see exactly what the graphic is, exactly what the ad text is, so that you can go ahead and either implement that in your own business, or if you end up wanting us to either review some of your current ads or put together a more detailed plan specifically for you, that's something that we'll do for you completely for free upfront. So a little bit of value out there for anybody who's either running ads right now or thinking about running ads sometime in the future. Jumpstartroi.com/photography. Shoot us a quick message there, and then I will get back to you within the next day with some ads for you to go ahead and implement yourself. And then we could continue having a conversation and put together a more detailed plan for you if that's something that is helpful.
That sounds really helpful. I'm going to go there soon. Get that. Okay. So Brennan at jumpstartroi.com, is that the best way to get in touch with you?
Yep. Yeah, that's my email, Brennan at jumpstartroi.com. You can reach out to me anytime. I love talking about paid ads. Obviously, as Lucy now knows from the last hour of us chatting, I'm more than happy to get on a call with anybody. I am not a high pressure salesperson at all. I love helping out photographers. So if you want help with this in any way, please shoot me a message, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. More than happy to spend some time on a call with you to help you out, totally for free, no obligation.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So my last question is either, is there some little detail that after we hang up, you'd be like, oh, I should have mentioned that? Or do you have just a parting thought for us, a takeaway?
Yeah, I think when it comes to paid ads, the most common things I hear a lot of times are, I tried it before and it didn't work for me, or yeah, it works for this studio, but it doesn't work for my studio. One of the things that I like to do that I want to leave people with is just challenging people's limiting beliefs around digital marketing and around paid advertising. And believe me, I have limiting beliefs about my own business and about my own sales process, so I can totally relate. But a lot of people come to us and they say, hey, I tried paid ads, it didn't work, or all the leads were bad, or, I just wasn't able to make it work. It clearly doesn't work for my business. And they give up on it and they just go back to doing what they were doing before, which is usually nothing. And it's usually just referrals. And then their business doesn't grow. And a year or two later, they're in the same spot they were a year. And so what I tell those people is just, keep in mind that this is a problem that many people have solved before you. And you are not that unique. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a way, none of us are that, me included, where it's someone else has solved whatever problem you're having in your business. I guarantee it's me, maybe it's Lucy, maybe it's somebody else. And so go find that person, keep trying to find that solution. Don't just assume it. Paid ads, does companies make 80-90% of their revenue from paid ads. Meta and Google make trillions and however many trillions of dollars from paid ads because it works. People wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work to some extent. So if you've tried it and it didn't work for you, don't give up. Reach out to somebody. I'm more than happy to help, at least help you understand why it didn't work. And a lot of times they don't understand why. And so, figure out where the bottleneck is in your funnel and focus on fixing that. Find the person that can fix that for you. It's probably Lucy. Maybe it's me. Reach out to that person and, keep an optimistic open, because someone else has tread the path that you're trying to follow, and go to that person and let them teach you. That's been some of the most valuable advice for me, is just go find someone who's done it before, and they can accelerate your timeline to success a lot faster. So that would be my advice.
I love it. And that advice is good, not just in this immediate thing we're discussing, but in general. I love that you said that. Well, thank you, Brennan. I want to remind people to stay tuned. I'll do a little quick wrap up. I've got some good notes. And I'm just super excited to hear all of this. So Brennan, thanks for reaching out. And I look forward to hearing from some of my people that they've found incredible success in your system. So stay tuned for more. Brennan, you're great.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So here I am back, and hopefully if you're watching this on Zoom, some of those glitches, you can just roll with it, because there's such good content that I didn't want to have to miss out on Brennan because whatever was going on with his Wi-Fi. Lots of good stuff. So let's see if I can summarize a little bit. So we were talking about Facebook and meta ads, and it sounds like one of the most powerful ways for photographers who do portraits. Not sure how weddings would work, but there's opportunities to use Facebook ads to get qualified leads. Now, of course, you need to know how to take a good lead and make it a great client and a great sale. And that is something I can help you with. I'm the queen of that. All right. So you have to have an offer and a way to take action. So he's saying just a pretty picture that says, be sure to hire me, not going to fly. Number 2 is being sure to target your ideal clients. And he said that Facebook's pretty good at figuring out what your target is based on the way the ad is put together. You want to be sure that Facebook knows where you are and where you want the leads. Or let's say you're going somewhere on vacation and you also want to stay an extra couple of weeks and do sessions. You could pick that location and set up your whole calendar with that. Number 4 was good and better content. Number 5, we talked about boosting, and he said it's an easy way to get attention, but not really as powerful as Facebook ads. Number 6, he said to be very intentional in what you're putting out there. And number 7, some of the ads that work the best are when there's a free session with a gift. Now, that has to be structured right. And there has to be a reason. So that's where someone like Brennan or other people that help with this, where they know the right ways to do it. So it's going to get you work. Remember, my LucyDumasCoaching.com has some little treats for you. So go there, pick up my book, 10 Ways to Market in the Real World. So if we want to get away from computer and go do things, that's awesome too. All right. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm sending you big holiday love if you're listening in November or whenever you listen, sending you the big love. That's it for now. Bye.
You have been listening to The Highly Profitable Photographer with Lucy Dumas. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate, subscribe, review, and share. To connect one-on-one and learn more about our coaching programs, just go to LucyDumasCoaching.com. Until next time, go have fun photographing and selling your work.